A car is different from a motorcycle because you're kind of in this, you're in this room, you're in this shell, you're walled off from all the things that you experience as a motorcyclist. How is it riding a motorcycle? It can be thrilling, it can be exciting, it can be very, very, very peaceful as well. You kind of build this relationship with your bike. You forget that you're on this machine. You feel the bumps in the road more than you do in a car. You're out there in it.
Hi, we are Team Moto, and we'll be talking about the future of transportation with a specific focus on the motorcycle rider. We worked in collaboration with our sponsors, Tactile and Us Too. Even though motorcycling is a way of life for some, it is inherently more dangerous than other methods of transportation. Many of the things that make motorcycling enjoyable also increase the risk. Being immersed in your environment and exposed in the elements means you have no protective barrier between you and your surroundings. And the nature of the motorcycle means you have less time to react to a situation. Although motorcyclists account for only 3% of the registered vehicles, they make up 14% of all traffic fatalities. In fact, if you are in an accident, it is 26 times more likely to be fatal than if you were in a car. Given those stats, the evolution of increased safety for the motorcyclist has still been slow to progress. Currently, no system is available to specifically address the needs of the motorcyclist, who while riding face a unique set of challenges. A pothole, oil spill, or high winds often will not cause the driver harm. However, these hazards pose a real threat to the rider's safety if the rider is unaware of them. Due to the lack of available systems out there, we decided to focus on how we could increase the situational awareness of the rider by providing them meaningful information about what's ahead. Our solution, Skry, would be the first motorcycle-specific hazard tracking and alerting system designed with the rider in mind. Ricky will walk us through the key findings we found during our research phase.
So we utilize both primary and secondary research methods to help us gain a holistic understanding of the problem space. In addition to literature review, we talked to experts and motorcyclists to gain information about riding behavior and the underlying cause of the problem. So we found these three findings in our research activities. First, riding is a way of life. We learned that people ride because of a sense of freedom and oneness with the road. We realized that a successful system should not interfere with this experience. We also learned that motorcyclists engage 4 out of the 5 senses while riding. There's a lot of information that the rider needs to be aware of that's constantly changing, which can lead to cognitive overload. As a result, the proposed solution should allow the rider to manage all of these factors effectively in a temporal moment while having a time to plan ahead. Although one could argue that an easy way to make motorcycles safer would be incorporate some of the adaptive technologies such as automatic braking system and blind spot detection. However, we learned that technology needs to support riders without causing them to be too reliant on the system. As such, we distill our finding into the following 3 design principles. Proactive, providing information within a reasonable time frame that allow riders to plan, react, and mitigate risk. Unobtrusive, the rider can interact with the system without interrupting or overloading their primary riding task and experience. And fit for the rider, providing information that's unique to them and designed with the rider's safety in mind. And Ryan will introduce us to the concept.
Skry is an advanced awareness and hazard reporting system for motorcyclists that leverages map, weather, and traffic data, as well as crowdsourced feedback from other riders to alert a rider of what's up ahead on the route. Fueled through the Skry mobile app, Skry first allows riders to choose the best route for them based on data that's been collected. While on the road, the rider receives messages about impending hazards and events and can alert others of them. The Skry system tags the hazard time and location and immediately makes this information available to others on the road. Post-ride, they can review information about their ride, see relevant stats and behaviors, as well as review or amend any of the hazards they reported. Designing for riders means creating a clean, minimal experience to assist both in environmental and situational awareness, as well as wayfinding. While the primary mode of interaction between Skry and the rider comes through a voice interface, a secondary peripheral heads-up display allows the rider to interact and get real-time feedback from the system through multiple senses. The HUD provides supporting information to the rider that will be easily recognizable via color and movement, meaning the rider doesn't need to take their eyes off the road in order to understand the nature of the event. And unlike every other system available today, Skry utilizes an entirely hands-free interaction model, allowing the rider to simply speak and the system listens. Even in dangerous situations, a rider can warn others around them while keeping their hands on the bike where they belong. Chris will now walk us through our prototyping and evaluation phase.
In order to validate our concept, we conducted a small focus group with participatory design and 2 prototype tests of varying fidelities. Our evaluation consisted of a dual attention task where the participants played a video game while interacting with the Skry system. First, we investigated the possibility of having riders hear messages from other riders. However, all participants expressed concerns about the reliability of this information. We also tested different tones to alert the user, but our participants ended up finding some of the tones difficult to recall. From here, we decided to move forward with a more conversational voice interface instead of just tones, and incorporated natural language processing into our system to pull out the most relevant parts of a reported message that would then be relayed to other riders. For our second iteration, we used only Skry's voice to relay messages. We found that our participants had a much easier time interacting with Skry this way, since the system provided feedback to the user when it was listening and prompted the user when necessary. We also included a pre-ride setup using the mobile app, which our participants found very useful in planning their route. Here we learned that our users would also want information on good rides nearby and points of interest. To give you a bit more detail about the system logistics, here we have a rider on a stretch of road with an unreported hazard up ahead. When the rider is able to report, they will say, "Skry report," which places a geotag at the location within a half-mile radius around each end to indicate a hazard zone. The system will prompt the rider to record a message, providing details about what they encountered. This message will then be parsed for key terms using NLP to form a concise message for the next rider. For example, if the rider says, "lots of tree branches on the road in the right lane," the system would know to classify tree branches as debris. When another rider comes along, they will receive the message, "debris up ahead, right lane," a half-mile before entering the hazard zone. Upon entry, an auditory alert and visual cue will be presented. As they exit the zone, the visual cue will disappear, and they will be asked if the hazard is still present. This information will allow the system to know when the hazard no longer needs to be relayed to others. Here is a short video detailing the Skry experience.
For a rider, awareness is everything. Knowing what's down the road can be the difference between life or death. We wanted to design a system that could augment the rider's awareness, giving them real-time updates and hazard reporting, while also allowing riders to report accidents and hazards in the moment without introducing new distractions. We spoke to motorcyclists to try and understand their biggest challenges and what interactions work best for them. We wanted to design around the experience of riding.
We are proposing a simple, intuitive auditory interface paired with a minimal heads-up display, which would allow the rider to stay focused on the road.
While riders can be warned of known hazards coming up,
proceed with caution. Accidents frequently reported at the next intersection.
They can also report accidents and hazards in the moment, warning other riders around them.
Skry report. Please report the hazard.
Tree down in the right lane.
Skry is then able to alert other riders of the hazard in real time.
Debris ahead, right lane.
And the Skry mobile application tracks rider behavior, giving them detailed feedback about their behaviors and areas for improvement in the post-ride report. Ultimately, it's about giving every rider the most important information when they need it, while still allowing them to enjoy the pure experience of the ride.
The next steps for our Skry concept would be to build out the NLP algorithm and validate the system for safety using a motorcycle simulator and then on the road. Bringing it to market, we would focus on integrating Skry with traffic and hazard information providers such as Waze, INRIC, and Bluetooth platforms such as Senna to provide a central hub for riders while riding. Next would be the addition of sensors to the bike to provide more detailed information to Skry about rider status. Finally, we would use vehicle-to-vehicle communication in the future to provide warnings of oncoming vehicles to riders to prevent accidents. We would like to thank our sponsors again for guiding us through this capstone, as well as our fellow faculty and classmates, Eric, Justin, Tim, and Matthew, who we couldn't have completed this project without. Hope you enjoyed our presentation. We are now open for questions.